Every time that I say that Real Madrid is going to lose, they win. Every single time. So at this point, I feel like the club should be paying me to make videos to say they're gonna lose. Yeah, I know the drill. You guys are going to lose, and then I'm gonna make fun of you and say, haha, Madrid. And then you're actually going to win. Yeah, I got it. So Adrian gets to be the big winner for hitching his wagon to the right team. And way to go, Adrian, you son of a bitch.
But don't let this distract you from the fact that Ineos Arsenal lost to
Real Madrid wins their 3rd Champions League trophy in the last 4 years. And here are my 10 reasons why they won it this year. Yes, I have 10 reasons, but you guys wanted longer videos from me. That's what you said, so I figured I'd do 10 instead of 5. For the first 15 minutes of the game, Juventus were easily the best team on the field. They were pressuring Madrid all over, they were winning the ball in good spots, and they were creating some decent chances, which was highlighted by Madrid's Keylor Navas making a great save on Pjanic. Unfortunately, they didn't score during this time. If they had, it definitely would have influenced how they were feeling about themselves, because nothing feels better than when you get rewarded for hard work. But they didn't score when they had this momentum. They weren't rewarded for their hard work, and then minutes later, Cristiano Ronaldo scored what I think is a preventable goal, which just has to f with you mentally as a team. And yeah, you can say they're professionals and they get paid millions of dollars to handle this type of adversity, but it's not always that cut and dry. They're human beings, because individually they'd have to be thinking, what else do we have to do? We did everything right in the first 15 minutes of the game. We executed our game plan to a T, and we give up one opportunity and we're down 1-0. That's not easy to come back from. Even if your Croatian magician Mario Mandzukic scores the goal of his life, which was a sick goal, by the way. 9. This probably needs to go higher up the list, even though I'm not ranking these. Like, it's not like a number 1 is the best over the whole test. Though I think my number 1 is probably the number 1 reason why. But I'm thinking that Gonzalo Higuain got left at the team hotel before the game because he sure as shit wasn't on the field. Outside of his pass to Mandzukic's chest, which fortuitously set up an incredible goal, Higuain made no discernible difference on the field. 0. And I know he's an emotional guy, he's proven it in the past. But when his team was down, when his team was losing, he did nothing to try to fight to get back into it. I mean, do something to make a difference. 2-foot Sergio Ramos in the ass, so he has a real reason to flop around instead of pretending he got his toe stomped. And nothing from Higuain, which makes another number 9, Luis Suarez, so special, because he's always fighting and trying to make something happen. But I digress. Actually, you know what? I don't digress, because Paulo Dybala wasn't much of an influence either. Now I digress. 8. 2 things bothered me about Juve's defending. One was collective and one was individual. The collective defending for me was way too deep, especially in the box. So for example, on Ronaldo's first goal, when the ball went wide, both the center backs, Chiellini and Bonucci, both seemed to drop off to protect space as opposed to locking in on the man. And unfortunately, that man was CR7. So when the ball got slid back across the box, it gave CR7 that split second that he needs to pick out a corner. And honestly, it just was far too easy for a team that should know better and had the numbers to actually defend it properly. But it happened time and time again, and it led to Asensio's goal as well, which for me makes it very clear that Madrid were purposely trying to exploit a weakness. The Juve center backs would drop too far off, Juve's midfielders weren't tracking runners into the box, and when that happens frequently, goals are gonna be scored. Also, what else bothers me is that if the center backs drop too far back, then they're sitting on the goalkeeper's lap, so the goalkeeper can't react to shots until it's too late. However, and this is my individual defending point, and I probably should highlight the outside backs for being so easy to get around, because if they defended better than the center backs' positioning, probably wouldn't have been called into question. But I'm gonna say this instead: if you want to win a game of this magnitude, you need your goalkeeper to make one huge save, and maybe more than one huge save, and the great Gigi Buffon did not make those saves. And they really needed him to save Casemiro's goal, the second goal in the game-winning goal. And I know it was heavily deflected, but if Buffon makes that save, then Juve maybe goes on to win the game and maybe nips the goal in the last minutes like I predicted, and I went from not being a genius to being a genius. I mean, the opposite. God damn it. 7. And now it's time to talk about Juve manager Massimiliano Allegri's halftime talk, because whatever he said, it sucked! And any adjustments that he did or didn't make, they sucked! And his anticipation for Madrid and what they were gonna do for the second 45 minutes and what Juve was gonna do to counter it, it sucked! Which means what? What does it mean, everybody? I'll wait. It means they sucked in the second half.
6.
But can we put it all on the manager? No, of course we can't. He's not doing the actual playing. So the biggest surprise for me with regard to Juve's performance was their reaction, or their lack thereof, after Madrid scored the second goal. And sure, the second goal was a little bit lucky with the deflection past Buffon, but it broke them as a team. They had no answers, and most disappointingly, that's a word, right? They didn't have any fight back. And I believe that if you're gonna be the champion of Europe, you have to be able to handle some significant adversity, and they did not. But enough about Juve's failings. Let's talk about what Madrid did right.
5.
And I know I already spoke about this from Juve's perspective, but I thought Madrid used the width to great effect, as evidenced by 3 of their 4 goals coming from wide positions, and actually the start of their second goal initially coming off a cross as well, which is a credit to the Madrid players for taking the space that Juve gave them, as opposed to forcing things through an area that was already congested. So in summation, Madrid used their feet and their brains. And as you will learn if you haven't already, 90% of the game is played up here.
4.
Madrid got some luck. On Cristiano's first goal, it took a slight deflection, though I get the sense that it would have scored anyway given the power that he hit it with. So let's just talk about Casemiro's goal, because that one was definitely lucky. It was a hopeful shot from 25 yards out, where Sami Khedira gave the "no, don't hit me in the face" and kind of turned away, olé defense, and it hit him in the heel, and it spun out of the reach of the outstretched Gigi Buffon, which proves that it's better to be lucky than good sometimes. Though in the second half, Madrid was lucky and good.
3.
I thought Madrid showed incredible patience when Juve was all over them for the first 15 minutes of the game. They weren't rattled in the slightest, and then after Mandzukic's wonder goal, which could have deflated most teams because the momentum was definitely shifting the other way, they just shook it off and kept playing. And that resolve and emotional steadiness, not to get too high or too low, which has been built on years of experience and playing in the biggest games with the same core of players, showed off one of their biggest strengths as a team.
2.
Now from what I've heard, and this is from a very good source, and I'm not f***ing with you here, Zidane is not a big talker at halftime. In fact, he's so quiet at times that it messes with the players. They're like, why isn't our manager talking to us? Why wouldn't he give us instruction on what we have to do? So Sergio Ramos apparently is the guy that steps up and does all the talking at halftime. But maybe that's by design. Maybe Zidane is forcing his players to step up in the locker room at halftime to solve problems, because he knows that they have to step up on the field to solve problems. And if that's the case, then Zidane is a motherfucking Jedi. Obi Zidane Kenobi, because he's using that reverse psychology Jedi mind trick and stuff.
1.
And finally, Cristiano Ronaldo once again proves that he continues to get better with age. And also, can we call him the most efficient player in the world right now? And I only say this because he knows, as we know, that he can't cover the ground that he used to. But he's a lot smarter in the ground that he does cover, and he trusts his teammates more to do the work that he used to do. And because of this, he seems more impactful than ever. Also, despite only scoring 42 goals in 46 games this season, which, let's be honest, is a bit of a down year for him statistically, he had the most magical year of his life. In the past 365 days, he won the Euros with Portugal, 2 Champions League titles, La Liga, FIFA Club World Cup, the Ballon d'Or, and the FIFA World Player of the Year, which for me, and I'm not sure how you can argue this otherwise, currently makes him the best player in the world. All right, that is it. That is all I got, and I'm sure you guys will have a lot to say about it. Actually, I do have 2 more things. 1, career mode drops tomorrow. You're welcome. And we restocked all of the Warmballers t-shirts that were sold out, so go to warmballers.com and pick yours up today. Later.